The Pond Prowler is officially 3 years old since you guys are watching this video. Some of you may be watching this video a little later. It may be 4, 5, 6 years old, but at least the time of uploading this video, the boat is now 3 years old, and I wanted to talk about some of the, I guess, the overall durability factor of this boat. You know, how has this boat held up for the last 3 years? I want to talk about what spots I think are really strong. I want to talk about a couple weak points that I'm going to have to watch out for in the future on this boat. And I also want to show you guys kind of what I have done to keep my boat in the condition that it is right now, because these are plastic boats. You know, this is not a you know, John boat that you can just thrash around and it's going to be fine. You've got to be a little more careful with pond prowlers, bass raiders, kayaks, and just everything else in general. So we're going to talk about all that in today's video. The first thing I wanted to talk about in today's video is drilling holes. Now, as you guys can tell behind me here, I've got a lot of modifications on this thing, and that means that I have drilled a ton of holes. And I was super nervous on the first one that I drilled. I was worried that I would just drill one hole and just completely ruin the boat. But if you seal it, if you seal the holes the proper way, which I will have everything linked below to the boat sealant, the modifications, everything on this boat. But if you seal it the correct way, you will not get water inside the boat. I've had the boat for, like I said, 3 years or more, and I've had little to no water ever inside my boat. So however I'm doing this, it's working, right? And there are a couple main ways to kind of help yourself with that. One of those is obviously don't drill anything below that black line. That black lining, that is where the water is, right? Because if you're below that, the hole is being exposed to water the entire time it's you know, on the lake while you're fishing. So do not do that. And if you are going to drill holes on the top of the boat or inside like I have here, make sure they are not on areas that pool up. Basically, if you were to spray your boat down with a bunch of water, see where on the boat the water collects and don't put your holes on those spots. I fish in the rain a lot. I fish, you know, my boat sits outside. Like, I'm in the elements a lot with this boat. And I have had times where, like, the bottom of my boat has like an inch of water because it's pouring rain and I'm actually scooping water out while I'm fishing. I know that's kind of freaky. Don't do that. Because I don't have any holes drilled on the bottom of my boat, there's no holes, you know, there's no area for that water to actually seep down into. All of my holes are like on the sides right here, or if they are in here, they're on an area that it is higher up and the water doesn't pool up and sit. You guys are probably seeing a couple shots right now of some of the places that I've drilled my holes, with kind of what I'm talking about here. I actually had a mod, it was my boat flooring here, that I was worried about water collecting, so I actually moved the holes up higher and I built like basically an L bracket to where now I'm not drilling into the bottom of the boat, I'm drilling up higher so there's no water that's just sitting right underneath where those holes are. If you do get water in this boat, there is a drain in the very front. There's like a little, it's like this, I don't know, it's this little rubber thing that you actually can twist, pull out, and you can lift the boat up and it will drain any water that you have inside. If your boat does get pretty waterlogged in there, I've heard from some people that say you cannot get that water out. I've heard from other people that say, you know, if it's in the summertime, let it sit out in the you know, the intense heat for multiple days on end and just hope that sun eventually starts, you know, basically just evaporating all that water inside. But there are big foam blocks inside this boat, so if those get wet, they are going to get waterlogged. And I've heard from people that, like, when it gets wet in there and those big foam blocks get waterlogged, it literally adds 50 plus pounds to your boat just from that water weight holding in there. So there are some people that have actually opened up their boat and seen the waterlogged foam pieces, replace them with new foam, and they literally cut, like I said, they cut like 50 pounds off their boat by doing that. At that point in time, I don't know, I would probably just get a new one, but just keep that in mind. If you do get water in your boat, there are a couple ways that you can try to get that water out. Now, obviously, the holes are a weak spot on this boat, but there are a couple other weak spots on the boat as well, at least through the 3 years that I have been fishing on this. Now, this Pond Prowler here and most other tiny boats like mine, they are made with basically the same material as a kayak. So just like kayaks, the bottom can get scraped up really bad. And I actually have what's called gator skins. Like I said, I'll have it linked below. And it's this little sticker. It's like this stick-on protective casing that goes on the bottom of your boat to help on the certain spots that get scraped up real bad. It does wear out within like a year, so you're probably gonna have to get new stuff. Maybe for you, you don't have to get it every year, but at least for me, I do launch on a lot of concrete boat launches. I'm dragging my boat up to my car, I'm hitting rocks, and I'm very rough on this boat. So for me, I have to replace that gator skins out every year. It does do a it makes a huge difference in terms of the overall integrity of the bottom of your boat and keeping that plastic from scraping up real bad. So 100% would recommend that, and that kind of eliminates one of those weak spots on this boat. Another weak spot on this boat, one that you can't really do much about, is the lining. So the lining right here basically is keeping the two pieces of the boat, the bottom part and the top part, it's what connects them together. They're basically riveted in on a ton of different spots, and then it was sealed, and that lining is over the top just to help water not get in. Now, what I don't like about this lining here is that whatever material they put inside, like that waterproof coating, when it gets really hot out, it actually seeps outside, and it starts to drip, and it hangs kind of like sap. And you will see that on my boat on a couple different spots. It basically, it hangs over the side, and I don't know if it's making the boat weaker or not, but it's kind of an annoyance, and technically you are losing some of that adhesive. It's actually dripping out, right? So I guess in a way it is kind of creating a little bit of a weaker spot. That is one spot. The one thing about this that I don't really like, you could tell that was where they really cheaped out in terms of the materials of this boat. This is the Bass Pro Shops Pond Prowler, so maybe on the Bass Raiders and some of the Sun Dolphin ones, maybe they don't do that, but at least for this model, yeah, they definitely cheaped out on that. So just something to kind of pay attention to, when you use the boat. There are a couple other spots here, as you guys are probably seeing right now as I am talking. The rod holders and the downriggers, the little mounts I have on there, they actually, because they're plastic, they kind of wobble. It has this little wobble in and out, and that's actually one of the big reasons why I made those downrigger plates, is because I have to clip my downriggers on, and I was worried that too much wobbling would actually, basically it would degrade that plastic, so those little mounting brackets do really help. But on a couple of these other things, as you guys see with these little Scotty mounts, it definitely wobbles a decent bit, and I'm worried that eventually those spots are going to get really, really weak from just the constant movement of the plastic. Other than those spots, however, I don't know of any other places on this boat that could go wrong. Knock on, I don't know, like a cork is wood and whatever. Knock on wood, right? But it really seems like I'm going to have at least another 3 years before I'm ever going to have something go degrade that bad to where it's like, all right, this is no fixing. I've actually just got to buy a new boat, right? So other than that, this boat is held up extremely well. Keep in mind as well that I put a lot of days out of the year on the water, and a lot of those days are with this boat. I fished this boat in 4 different states. I fished rivers, I fished lakes, I fished ponds, I fished tons of different bodies of water. A lot of different styles of fishing. I have been pretty hard on this boat through the years. It's gone through a beating with me. So if I'm not having that many problems with this boat, I think most of you are not going to have problems as well, especially if you're just using this for like local ponds, a couple times a month in the summer, or just whatever, right? If you just want to go out and fish for fun every month or so, like, you're gonna have no problems. You'll have this thing I bet you'll have it for a decade or more. I mean, I bet you will be totally fine. Now, although I am very rough on the boat on the water, when it comes to off the water, I take very good care of this, and the big part of that is going to be with the storage. I originally didn't store it well for the first couple months, but I kind of figured out my little system, and I have it dialed down pretty dang good. I don't get any water in the boat. It is safe from sun. It's a really good little method that I use. So I'm actually going to cut to that right now so you guys can see how I store the boat. Okay guys, so this is my backyard. This is where I store my boat. We have like a big swinging fence right here that goes out to the front yard. And so what I'll do is I'll take my boat and, you know, I'll open the gates up, bring it out, and I actually back my car in right here on the grass, and I throw it on top and get it all ready the night before. But when the day is over and I'm putting my boat back, this is my my routine that I do every single time. So first of all, we've dragged the boat in here. Now you have to watch, like my boat, I have my kayak paddle mount on the side here, and I lean my boat up to the side. That way water and rain cannot, you know, pool up inside the boat. So you have to watch, if you do have mounts on the side, make sure you're leaning it up to the side that has the least amount of things that can break. So my kayak paddle mount, I feel like if there was a lot of weight on that thing, that the plastic would snap on it. So in my case, I put it in this way because the Scotty mount brackets, I only have these two on this side, they're durable enough, they can take it. So I brought this in here. What I actually do first is I leave a pretty decent amount of space in between here and the fence. I lift this up on its side here, just like that, and as you guys can see, it'll actually just lean up and stay. At this point, we're gonna grab our tarp. So I have a heavy duty tarp over here. I'll have one linked below for you guys. And basically this tarp not only protects it from rain, but it also protects it just from being out in the sun all day, because this spot in our backyard here does get a pretty decent amount of sun, especially in the summer. It gets pretty hot over here. So I'm gonna put that tarp over real quick. Okay, so as you guys see, I also put the tarp farther over the boat. I do have, this is like an oversized tarp. I got it for that reason specifically. So as you guys can tell, that tarp completely covers the entire boat. The reason why I left so much space between the fence and the boat is because when I leaned the boat up, I wanted there actually be enough room there for it to lean on its side. So when I go like this, as you guys can tell, the boat is leaning diagonal. So any water that comes, you know, any rain or what, you know, snow, whatever it is, it's going to actually fall and it's just going to drain right off. Same on the other side, that water is just going to fall over the edge. So the boat, during the winter time, this boat does not see a single drop of water, which is awesome. The last thing I do is, just because I live in a very windy state, I kind of tuck this under, just like this. And we have a bunch of heavy rocks right here, and I just put a rock or two right on each edge of that little tarp. That way, you know, the wind doesn't, you know, fling that tarp away. But this right here is how I have been storing the boat for almost the entire 3 years that I've had it, and as you guys can tell, the boat is still in awesome condition. I've actually had a lot of you comment or email me, how do I store my boat? And I think that was a really good question that I'm very glad that I was finally able to address in a video for you guys. If you guys have any other questions about this boat, please leave a comment down below or message me on Instagram. I'd be happy to talk with you and get your whole boat set up the way that you guys want for your style of fishing. I've got 2 more videos right here that I think will really help you out, and also consider subscribing. It really does. It really truly helps me out in the long run. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time on Humbug Videos.